بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد فالسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome once again, dear brothers and sisters, at this YouTube channel here, where I'll discuss and review books in a brief and short manner, so it's not too long, but also not too short, somewhere in between. And I'll discuss books I find interesting and I think other people can benefit from. These are all books from my own library here I have, and now and then I pick one of those books and I'll discuss them with you. Today I will discuss a book I bought last year while in Uzbekistan, and I was able, alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah, the will of Allah, to visit Uzbekistan with a group of students from Cordoba Academy under the guidance of Sheikh Muhammad Daniel, the founder of that academy, and he organized a study trip to Uzbekistan, place of stories, so to say. Think of the Silk Route, or route, however you want to call it, is fine. A place that always was in my mind. I was always fascinated by it. Now finally I was able to visit it for a trip of 8 days, and we visited many cities, places, and also ulama. Now this book is called Uzbekistan, a land of multifarious geniuses. And the book is really what the title claims. As you can see, it's quite a big book, hardcover, published in 2019, and it has around 400 pages. Now, for those people who do not know what multifarious means, it means many and various scholars. And we will come to see why the word multifarious has been used here. Now, turning to the contents of the book. The book, it contains 40 biographies, and this is a significant number in our tradition, 40 biographies of scholars and scientists, all originally from a country which is now known as Uzbekistan. And there's a preface in the book also. I'll come to that in a moment. But the main part of the book are these beautiful, concise biographies, all in English. The original work is, of course, in the Uzbek language, and this is a translation of that work by one of the professors in Uzbekistan there. Now, if we turn to the inside of the book. It was printed in 2019, as said before, in the city of Tashkent, which is the capital of Uzbekistan, which we were able to visit. And this book was compiled by Ubaydullah Uvatov, and he's a doctor of history and a professor, and he's attached to the Imam Bukhari International Scientific Research Center, which we have also visited, alhamdulillah. Now, in the preface, the compiler, the Professor Ubaydullah Uvatov, he says, it needs to be mentioned that the inhabitants of our country called Uzbekistan are very talented and able people. In all different fields of knowledge and science, our country gave the world a great number of world-famous people. Therefore, we often use a kind of comparatively new expression that Uzbekistan is a country of the greatest learned people. And I think looking at these biographies, looking at the names of these scholars and scientists, we can say this is true. Often, people, especially non-Muslims, they don't think of Uzbekistan as a country which produced the greatest minds in human history, you can say. So sharing this with non-Muslims, I mean, it opens their eyes, right? It can blow their minds even if they come to know about these things. Then he also says, nowadays our scientific research center is going to publish a number of books dealing with the life and activities of world-known learned people in comfortable formats as a pocketbook, both in Latin and Cyrillic alphabets. And we hope that these books will meet the interests of our younger generation. So this work is an English translation, but we also came to know there are many other translations of this work available. Now, how did I get this book? That's also interesting. I didn't buy this book in a shop, if I remember correctly. You know, it's been a year ago, but I'm not sure. Either I bought it in a museum or I bought it on the street. I think actually I did both. I bought one copy in a museum and I bought one copy on the street. So these books are not only sold in shops, but you might find them being sold on the street as well. So if you have an opportunity to go and visit Uzbekistan, look out for this book and get a copy. You know, it's really, really beneficial. And personally, I love reading biographies, and if you are someone who also loves to read biographies, then you will really, well, I would say almost devour this book. One very minor mistake here in the preface is that he says this book contains 50 biographies, but it actually contains 40 biographies. But that does not diminish anything of the value of this great work and encyclopedia of biographies of Muslim scholars from Uzbekistan. Now, of course, and this is no surprise, I think, and it's a question I ask you as a viewer, who's the first person who comes to your mind when you think of Uzbekistan, when it comes to Islamic scholarship? Well, it comes as no surprise that this book starts with the biography of Imam al-Bukhari, the author of the Sahih, the most authentic collection, the most authentic work after the Quran. Is Sahih in short, and the actual title is much longer, but I'll save you the title, the full title. It is known as his Sahih, Sahih al-Bukhari. So al-Bukhari, this hints, or this refers to his place of origin, which is the city of Bukhara, the beautiful city of Bukhara, which we were able to visit, alhamdulillah. He hails from that place, from that area, Bukhara. So hence, al-Bukhari. So this is the first biography in this work. And the last biography, biography number 40, that was someone I had not heard of before, is Sufi al-Ayar. So Sufi al-Ayar, let me see who he was. I'm not going to introduce Imam al-Bukhari because that would take a whole lecture or even a whole series. The last biography in this work is by, or about Sufi al-Ayar. Sufi al-Ayar, it says in the first lines, is one of our great ancestors known among the people of Turkestan as a poet and literary man of Sufi trend. And he was born in 1634 and passed away in 1721. So you want to know more about this this poet, this scholar, this man of literature? Get the book, read the book. Now, 40 biographies. So who are those other scholars mentioned in this book? And I have to say, this book is not available in the West. Sadly, it's not available in the West because it should be. I think it should be part of the repertoire or of the Islamic literature here in the West. It should be spread here in the West amongst the English-speaking people. Now, going back to the biographies. I'm sure most of you know other scholars from Uzbekistan. And so it comes as no surprise again. The second biography in this book is about Imam al-Darimi. Imam al-Darimi also had a great hadith collection, just like Imam al-Bukhari. He was a muhaddith, also from Uzbekistan. That's the second biography. Then the third biography also, Imam al-Tirmidhi. Imam al-Tirmidhi was famous for his Sunan compilation of prophetic narrations, also from Uzbekistan, from the city of Tirmidh, and we were able to visit that city and his grave, walhamdulillah. Then there's another scholar from Tirmidh. You should not be confused with Imam al-Tirmidhi, but he could also be called Imam al-Tirmidhi, but he is known as Al-Hakim al-Tirmidhi. And he was mainly known for tasawwuf. And he's buried there. Beautiful place to visit also. Then some other scholars which we should all know, at least if you're literate in the Islamic sciences. Abu Layth al-Samarqandi. He's known for his work in Aqidah from the city of Samarkand. Beautiful city, beautiful place. Must go and visit. Then, well, if we speak about Aqidah, who comes to mind? One of the greatest Imams, if not the greatest Imams, in the field of Aqidah is Imam al-Maturidi, rahimahullah. Also, his grave we were able to visit, walhamdulillah. Then in Tashkent, we were able to visit the grave of the next one. That's Imam Abu Bakr Qaffal al-Shashi, a great Shafi'i scholar. Then there's the biography of Imam al-Biruni, a traveler and a scientist. Let me look at the chapter there, page 125. It says there, Abu Rayhan al-Biruni was born in 973 and passed away in 1048. He was a great multifarious genius of the Middle Ages. At the same time, he was an astronomer, an astrologist, mathematician, geologist, geographer, researcher of local lore, biologist, doctor, plant grower, mineralogist, historian, textual critic, expert in religion, philologist, philosopher, sociologist, expert in logic, theologian, and a poet. And they say that it was easier to count the number of branches of science in which he was not engaged than those that he had been engaged in. And he wrote a lot of books, so his biography is here to read for all of you. Very, very, very interesting. After al-Biruni, or al-Biruni, we have Burhanuddin al-Marghinani, the famous Hanafi scholar known for his commentary Al-Hidayah, if I'm correct. Let's go to the chapter about him. And there it's written, the most precious among the legal works, Al-Hidayah, as I said, written by Imam al-Marghinani, deserves a huge theoretical and practical importance, thanks to its perfectness in form and content, as well as its comparative study of the Hanafi fiqh with the other madahib. So, Burhanuddin al-Marghinani. Then we have another biography of a famous scholar when it comes to Aqidah. Abu Hafs Umar al-Nasafi, rahimahullah. We all know the text, or we should know the text in Creed, Al-Aqaid al-Nasafiyah. This is the author of that text. His biography is in here, and he is from Uzbekistan. And then one last name I'm going to mention here, which should be a household name when it comes to the science of tafsir. Imam Zamakhshari. Imam Zamakhshari, rahimahullah. Let me go to the chapter here. Very famous scholar of tafsir. His work, Al-Kashaf, is very well known. He was born in 1075 and he passed away in 1144. Subhanallah. I keep being amazed by this book, really, about the biographies and about the great minds and geniuses Uzbekistan brought forth. May Allah preserve all of them. And may Uzbekistan once again become a land of scholarship. So this is this book, basically what it's about, the contents. I've given you a brief insight and review. Of course, there are many other scholars hailing from Uzbekistan originally. A few of those names we can think of, which have not been mentioned in this book, is, for example, Imam Az-Zarnuji, who wrote a famous work or a manual on how to study, how to be a student. Ta'lim al-Muta'allim, something like that. I don't have the full or the correct title present at the moment, but I think it's Ta'lim al-Muta'allim in short. And then we have Ibn Sina, of course. And lastly, one of those other scholars, and we were able to visit his grave as well. He's known when it comes to tasawwuf mainly, Bahauddin al-Naqshband, rahimahullah. Beautiful complex to go and visit while in Uzbekistan, excuse me. So with this, I conclude this book discussion here. I hope it was a benefit. Once again, if you are able to go to Uzbekistan, go and visit and try to obtain a copy of this book. Jazakumullahu khaira for your attention and your time. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.